Alright, I'm going to show you guys how to use player warps and talk a little bit about warping in general and teleportation. There just seems to be a bit of confusion. Want to clarify it and just let you guys know how it all works. So the new player warp system replaces the existing home system. So before, if you wanted to set a home, you would do slash set home, and it would just set a home at your current location, and then you could do home, and then the name of the home if you had a home. That is now replaced with a brand new system called Player Warps, and so the way that you access it is you do slash player warps. You can also do p warps for short, and you'll get into this screen. So if you had homes before in the old system, they should all be here. If you do not see them, then either one of two things has happened. You didn't set a home, or it might have only been a bed home. So you need to make sure you actually did set home. Uh, or there's another issue. So if they're not showing up and you are like 110% sure that you have done slash set home in the past and it's not showing up here, open up a support ticket and we can go into the files and find the coordinates and add it for you. But it should be here. I've tested this with a few users and it has worked. So that shouldn't be a problem. So right now you can see I have different homes here. And so basically if I wanted to go to one of the homes, it's as easy as literally just clicking on it and you are teleported to that warp location. So again, I'll do P warps and let's go to a different one. I've got my new warp here. Just takes me right here. That's where I set it. Super easy. If you're looking for an experience that was similar to the way it was before, so again, the old way was doing like home, my home, you can also do that with the p-warps command. So you can type in p-warps and then, sorry, it's actually just p-warp. And then you'll get a list of all your available warps, and so you can just type it in, right? So if yours was just called home, then you could just type that and you would be teleported home instantly. So that is similar to the way it was before. If you're looking for a simple way to do it, you can also type in p-warp, p-warps create home. I already have a home called home, so I can't do that, but home 3, and it'll just create a warp where you're standing, and then I could do p-warp home 3, and it takes me back here. So if you're looking for a simple experience that acts the way it was before, that is the best way to do it, is just use those two commands right there. All this information, by the way, is on the wiki, so if you have any questions, consult the wiki or post in the Discord. We will be happy to help you out with that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about editing your warps, because there's a lot that you can do here. And actually, before we get into that, let's just quickly talk about the filter here. So you've got these two arrows. So if you have lots of warps, like maybe you have access to 50 warps, obviously there's not enough spots for 50. So you can use these icons here to navigate between pages. But then you can also filter. So you can filter by a specific category, or you can filter by specific people. So if Arlene is a friend of mine, and I sometimes borrow her account for testing purposes. So if she's shared like 10 warps with me and I want to look at only her warps, I could click on that and I could see all the warps that Arlene has shared directly with me. Okay, so I'll go back here. So right now I'm looking at all warps. It tells you at the very top what you're looking at. So I'm looking at every warp that I have available to me. Now I'm looking at just my warps. And now I can look at just categories. So the reason that categories are really important, and we'll get into this a bit more when we start editing a warp, is if you make a warp public, or maybe you have select people trusted on that warp to be able to access it, it's important to classify it with a category so that people can easily find it. Because there's some people that might have, like subscribers, for example, they already have 25 warps that they can set personally. So if they have 25 set and they are sharing a bunch, or there's a bunch of public ones, it'll be really easy for them to get lost in the mix, and they won't know it would just be hard to find things. So for example here, if I set one as a shop, right, now I'm filtering just by shops, now I will do left click to accept those filters. So now I'm searching only shops right now. There's no shops right now, so I can't actually see any. But this would make it easy if you want to see all the shops around the server. Because obviously we have the plaza, which has some player shops. But in case you didn't know, we have opened up the Shopkeeper plugin to let you create shops anywhere you want. So you could go out into the world, create a shop, and then set a warp there, make it public, classify it as a shop warp, and now people can search for warps and then be able to find it. So that's a really powerful feature, and so it's important that you classify what type of warp it is, whether it's PvP, farm, just a regular home, shop, whatever. Okay, so let's go back to P-warps. So if you want to edit a warp, when you hover over the icon here, you'll see some information. You'll see the name of the warp and a description, who owns the warp. So right now it says me because I'm the owner of it, but if it belonged to someone else, you would see who it belonged to. And then you have some options. Left click will teleport. So if you just click on it, again, we just go to that warp. Let's bring it back up. Right click will configure it, and shift right click will delete it. So this is the one I just created here for testing. If I want to actually delete this one, all that I do is I hold my shift key, and then I click right, and it's going to say, are you sure? And you just got to click right away. And then you can see in chat, it says, your warp, my new warp, has been permanently deleted. Okay. Now if I want to edit a warp, you would just right click on it. So if I hit right click, now I'm into the editor. And so this is where you can get really powerful with the warp configuration. So I'm just going to actually, before we start, I'm going to grab an item. Just as an example here for setting a custom item. Let's grab the dragon head, just for fun. So go back into the editor. We're going to right click this. Okay, so right here, so this first icon here, it says appearance. So when you click on this, now you're in the appearance editor. So these 4 items here represent things that you can configure for the appearance. So if I left click on this while holding an item, it'll actually change the item or the icon to whatever item I was holding. So in this case, I change it to the dragon head. So if I hit finish here, you can see in my warp listing now, that is a dragon head. So that's really useful if you have, like for example here, I had a gem, but you could maybe use a gem as a way to signify like a shop, so you know at a glance like which warp is your shop. So you don't even have to really read it. If you have icons that you know what the icons represent, then you can just find the icon really quickly, click on it, and teleport to that. And by the way, when you are using these items, it doesn't consume the item. So you just need to have the item just so it knows what item to use. But you can see here, I still have this item. I can still use it. It doesn't go away just because I set it as a icon. Okay, so I'm going to go back here, right-click to edit. So name, if I wanted to change the name of the warp, I could do this. So this is a ZephCraft Lotus's base. So I could rename it to Lotus Base. And then I just click the piece of paper here, and then I'm done. And you can see here it's confirmed because it's in there. Okay? If you hit right-click, it'll reset it back to what it was before. So I'll set it back here. Lotus Base. Okay. Description. So this is where you can just add some information. So if you're setting a public warp, it might be a good idea to just describe what they can do at your warp. So if this was a shop, I might say something like this. I would click on that, and I would say Red's Amazing Shop. And then I would add a line, and I would say, we sell Eyes of Ender. So that way it just lets players know what they can expect when they're going to a warp, if it's a public warp, or if you've shared it with someone. Okay, then we have the teleport message. This is just a message that will display in the chat when a player arrives to your warp. So you could say something like, welcome to Red's Ender Emporium, if I'm making a shop that is about selling Eyes of Ender. And it just displays that in the chat. Super easy. Okay? And if you want to change it, again, you just come over here and you hit left click, put the name in there. If you want to cancel, you would just hit escape and go back. Easy enough. All right? So that's the appearance editor, and that's all under this painting here. So this is all done through a GUI. You just click on any icon that you want to edit, and you'll be able to do that. If you're on Bedrock, you can still do this. The only limitation for Bedrock users is, I believe, you don't have hovering. You just click on the item, and then you click again to confirm. So it's a little bit different. It might be not as pleasant of an experience for you, but it still should work, but you might be limited in some capacity. Okay, let's talk about options. So if we click on this, the door icon here lets me set it as a public warp. So you just click on it, and you can see it's public, and then as soon as I hit finish, it'll make it public. So the cool thing about this is once it's public, then any person that does /p warps will be able to see your warp and teleport to it. So again, this is great if you want to make a shop or like a city where you want visitors to be coming and going as they please, or maybe you have like an XP farm, what have you. That's a great way to be able to do that. If you don't want it to be public, just make sure that you don't click that and make sure it says current, private, and then you can add members specifically here, and we'll get to that in a second. The Ender Pearl right here just is your target position. So when you initially create the warp with the p-warp command, or just with the nether star to create it, it goes to the location that you're standing in, but you can left click on this to change it to the new location you're standing in. So if this is where the warp is, I can move over here, go back to p-warps. Whoops, I clicked on it. Let's go back. So let's go p-warps, and then we're going to right click to configure it, options, left click, and now it is changing the coordinates to where I'm standing now, as opposed to that little well I was standing on. All right. Okay, so trusted members. So I'm actually going to open up a second account here. This is my friend's account that they graciously let me use for testing sometimes. So let's just get that open here. So basically, with the trusted members screen, you can add anyone to your warp that you want. So if I do left click, we just get rid of that, and we'll just wait for this to open. Waiting. I think I have shaders on, so it's going to take just a second. Take a drink of my Starbucks while I'm waiting. Anytime now. The shaders do take a long time. Come on. Come on. It's coming. It's coming. There we go. Alright, let's just make sure we have shaders. They are off. Okay, cool. So multiplayer. Join the server. Alright, so Ara Lane has joined the server. So now, if I type in Ara Lane, and then I click on this, you can see that she has been added, and her player head actually shows up here. So at a quick glance, you can see everyone that you've trusted on the server. So now if I go... Oh, that's still loading. So now on Ara Lane's account, if I do p-warps... So right now I'm only looking at my own warps. But if I filter all warps... Oh, I haven't finished. So let's hit finish. So now I should be able to see on warps, all warps. So now you can see there's the dragon head for the icon. You can see the name of it. The owner is myself. And then, so if I click on that, you hear the countdown, 3 seconds. And then here I am. I am at the warp now. So again, a great way to share warps specifically with people. And the very important thing about this feature, and one of the reasons that we did it, is that if you want to give someone access to your base without actually using the /trust command, you can do that. So maybe you have like an XP grinder or something like that. You can give them access to your base, but they don't have to have build permissions, and then you can revoke it at any time. So if you change your mind and decide that you don't want that person to be able to teleport there anymore, then you can revoke their access without worrying that they still have a warp set there or a /home set there, which was the case before. There was no control over it, and now there is. All right. So again, in this case, I'm going to right-click to configure it. I'm going to go to Trusted Members. I'm going to right-click to remove her, hit Finish to save those settings, and now on Arlane's account, if I go here, filter to all warps, and you can see now that warp is gone, and I just have the 2 warps that belong to that account. All right. The last thing here is the classes. So this is where you can actually set the category. So again, you just click on this, and you just choose the category it belongs to. So you would left click, and you can do multiple. You can do up to 2. So if it's a shop, but maybe you also have a farm at the shop, then you could do that as well. And we might add more categories later. We'll just start with that for now and see how that goes. All right. And then all you got to do is just make sure that you hit the finish button to save your settings once you are done. If you don't save your settings, then you'll have to restart from scratch. All right. So just to recap, P-warps will bring up the GUI here. If you want to teleport to one of your personal warps, you simply click on it. And remember, by default, all of the warps are personal. Only you can access a warp unless you specifically go and make it public or you add a person to your warp. So again, all warps are personal. They are not public unless you make them so. All right. And then if you want to edit them, just right click and then you can start the process to configure it and really kind of fine tune it and make it do exactly what you want. So it's a very powerful feature. It takes a bit of getting used to because it's much different than just doing home and set home. But I think this will provide a much better experience for players and allow you to do a lot more cool things, which I think is always awesome. All right, let's briefly talk about warps and teleporting. And by warps, I mean global warps. So if you type in warps, you will get this screen here. Now, it will look a little different because you won't have the nether star. So actually, let's open up Ara's account here. And so this just shows all the public warps that are set by the server, aka myself. And so right now there's only 4. There's the new player spawn, which will just take you to the very beginning of the server, which is this. So if you ever wanted to get back here for whatever reason, you could. There is the lobby, which takes you to the end of this tunnel. So that just has these warps right here. And we might add some more stuff into this area soon. So that's why the lobby area exists. And then the plaza will take you to the plaza, of course. Here we are. And then, of course, spawn takes you to spawn. And there we are. So when you type in warps, you get this screen here, and you can hover over it. It tells you the name of that, and then a description of what is there. So in the case of the plaza, it tells you what you could find there. You can find player shops, the parkour lobbies there, the emerald exchange is there, and you can get clue scrolls there. Right? Spawn City tells you there's admin shops, and it also tells you that there is a PvP arena there. So it just gives you a bit more information. In a future update, we will be introducing unlockable warps. So those would be warps that will only be unlocked once you have either completed a certain task or you've gone to that location manually and unlocked the fast travel for it. That'll be coming in a future update, but you'll be able to see those all here. Super easy process, so don't worry too much about the complications of this, because it's actually not that complicated. If you wanted to still do a warp the quote-unquote old school way, you could do warp, and I believe you can just type spawn. Oh no, it just opens this. Never mind. I spoke too soon. So yeah, all your warps are just in here. And again, you just click on it to go there. Super easy. Okay, let's talk briefly about teleportation. For the most part, it is the same with a couple added features, which I think are really, really handy. So if I would like to go to Aura Lane, so I'm going to do TPA Aura Lane. Oh, I am Aura Lane. Let's do this. Let's do TPA Red Zephon. All right, so it says you sent a teleport request to Red Zephon. So now I will open up this. And it says, you got a teleport request from Aura Lane. This request will be invalid soon. So the nice thing about this is you can go in chat and I can click accept right here. And then she'll be teleported within 3 seconds. So this is nice because you don't have to type anything in chat anymore. You used to have to type TP accept, which does still work because for Bedrock users, you can't actually click in chat. That is a limitation of Bedrock. It doesn't let you click in chat. So if you are a Bedrock user, you still do have to type TP accept or TP deny. If you don't type TP deny, it will time out after 30 seconds though. But yeah. So this is very nice though for Java users because you can just click accept right in the chat and then they'll be teleported to you. And then same thing here, if I wanted to do TPA here to Aura Lane, I've sent a request for her to come to me, and then it says that Red Zephon wants you to teleport to them, and then again I click accept, and then I will start teleporting to them. So for the most part, that's the same, just a little added feature that you can now click in chat to request that. For subscribers, we've also added the back command. So if you do /back, it will teleport you to your previous location. But keep in mind, this is on a 6-hour cooldown. So if I try to do it again, you have to wait X amount of hours. And so people always ask about cooldowns, and the reason for that is we don't want to just be on easy mode the entire time. We want there to be some sort of work involved, so it's not just completely boring and just everyone has OP permissions to do everything. So that's why there's a cooldown for that. Basically, the back command should be considered a I put myself in a really screwed position and I'm panicking and I need to get my stuff, so I'm going to do this because it's an emergency command. It's not something that you do all the time. Now, we have added the grave command. I don't have any graves right now, but if I did have a grave, that would open up a interface where I could teleport to my graves if I have the required rank, which right now is the citizen rank. So keep that in mind. You can teleport back to your grave if you need to, and there's information on that on the wiki if you have any questions about that. So that is warping and teleporting in a nutshell. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask us on the Discord. We would be happy to help. It is a little bit different, but I hope that you can see that there are a lot of cool features that will make this a better experience for everyone. And once you kind of get your head wrapped around how to use it, it is pretty easy. But if you're like, Red, I don't care about all those extra features, I just want something simple, no problem. P-warps, create, warp, and then P-warps, warp, or the name of your warp to go to there, if you just want a simple experience that was like before. So again, let us know if you have any questions. All this information is also on the wiki, so you can check there for more information. All right, if you enjoyed this video, if it helped you out, please let me know. Leave a comment, leave a like, and I might do more videos explaining how to do certain things on the server. If you're looking for a server to join and you aren't part of ZephCraft, consider joining us. We have a great time. We've got epic terrain generation. You can see this massive tree in the background. It's pretty sick. So yeah, it is a good time here on the server. You can join at play.zephcraft.com. We support both Java and Bedrock clients, so make sure to join up if you haven't already. All right, thanks everyone for watching, and I will see you on the server.